Hey guys, Marcy Ellison here with eXp Realty, and if you're wondering what's happening in Boise's and its surrounding Treasure Valley's housing market, well then today's video is for you. We just received our most recent market report, and in this video I'm going to break down both what the numbers are telling us and also what we're seeing and experiencing every single day working here on the ground in our local market. And just a heads up, we are hearing and seeing a lot of misinformation out there, so sit back as I break down all of the real up-to-date numbers for you. And then if you're one of those people out there who's holding out on a housing market crash with the hope that a crash could help you afford a bigger, better home, well, then you are definitely going to want to stick around till the end of today's video because I'm going to tackle why a housing crash here in Idaho is not the solution you're looking for. And before you get all fired up thinking, oh gosh,
so here's another real estate agent who's telling everyone it's the perfect time to buy.
Calm down, calm down. Watch the video and then feel free to blow up the comment section if you still feel the need.
I hate waiting.
Okay, so let's start by pulling up the numbers. First, let's hone in on just Ada County. So Ada County includes Boise, Eagle, Meridian, Kuna, and Star. So as you can see in this infographic, which details all of the single family homes sold across Ada County, so that includes both pre-existing resale homes and new builds, newly constructed homes. The median sales price, and this is compared to the same time last year, what did it do? Well, it ticked up, but well, just by a tad, by 0.5%. So I don't know, I would pretty much just say that it held steady, right? So, well, for those out there who are saying that we're seeing our home prices plummet across the valley, well, sorry to break it to you, but that's really not what we're currently seeing. And this also goes against what many are saying, overall, more homes are selling. As you can see, last month, 21.5% more homes sold than what we saw the same month 1 year ago. Interestingly, while more homes are selling, they're actually taking a little bit longer to sell, which you can see in the days on market section. And then last, but also very important to note, inventory. So the total number of homes available on the market is up from 1 year ago. And this, of course, is a good thing. But please keep in mind that while it is up from 1 year ago, it is still overall quite low in relation to the demand we're seeing. So while there are more homes on the market than there were a year ago, demand, so all the people who are out there looking to buy homes, is still high. So all of these factors combined are helping to just keep our home prices pretty darn steady. Okay, so now let's say that you are curious about new construction. Let's pull up a similar infographic that details what we're seeing just in the new construction arena. Here you can see that across Ada County, well, home builders compared to 1 year ago have increased their inventory by a significant 21.1%. And then home prices have stayed completely even with actually a 0% change year over year. And then overall, more of them are selling with sales up by just under 27%. And yep, they are selling at a faster clip. So if you've heard that our local builders are freaking out and dropping prices left and right, which I've heard and have been asked about several times over the past month or so, well, that's really just not the case.
Numbers, unlike children, don't lie.
While we have seen some builders drop prices and offer some awesome incentive programs, for example, right now CBH, so the largest builder in the state of Idaho, they are offering, through the end of this month anyhow, a $25,000 to $45,000 incentive program. And if you're curious, the amount that buyers qualify for is based on the price point of the home that they're buying. If you want more details about any of that, just give us a call or shoot us a text. But anyhow, yes, while we have seen some price drops, or as many builders prefer to call them price improvements, overall, the average sales price for new builds has not dropped. And we really aren't seeing builders freeze up and stop building, which if you've watched some of our market updates from before, you likely have heard us say that if and when builders across all price points, when you see them cut back on inventory, so how many spec and move-in ready homes they're building and have available for buyers, well, when we see their inventory numbers go down, that's when you can almost bet that some big changes are coming to the market. So to wrap this section up, if you want to know more about any of the new developments in our booming area, give us a shout or post a comment below. We'd be happy to fill you in. Okay, so now you're interested to know what's happening in Canyon County. So Canyon County includes the cities of Nampa, Caldwell, Middleton, Melba, Wilder, Parma, and Greenleaf. I think I'm missing one or two, but those are the big ones, or even some of those are small. But anyhow, let's pull up an infographic that details all of the single family homes that sold across Canyon County over the past month. So this one is interesting to see as compared to the same time 1 year ago, both the total home sales and inventory have jumped up pretty significantly, with total sales up by 47.7% and inventory, so the total number of homes listed for sale on the market, that's also up by 42.6%. So yeah, there are more homes available for hopeful buyers, and more of those potential buyers are indeed jumping in and going from hopeful buyer to full-on home owner. And then price-wise, homes have ticked up a bit, with the median sales price now just under the $425,000 mark, and they are taking a little bit longer to go under contract than they were a year ago. If you're curious to know what we're seeing out in Canyon County in just the new sales, like the new construction market, or in just the pre-existing resale market, post a comment below or give us a call or shoot us a text. We'd be happy to let you know. So now, if you're curious to see what we're seeing price-wise across all of the cities that make up the Treasure Valley and to see how they compare city to city, let's take a quick minute to dive into those numbers. First, to wrap your head around this one, there are really two numbers I want you to consider: list price and then the agreed upon sales price, i.e. what the home actually sold for. Here you can see all of the cities that make up the Treasure Valley and both what their current average sales price is as well as their average list price. These numbers are the averages for the past month, so the last 31 days up to today. Not only will these numbers help you wrap your head around the current average sales price for each city, but looking at these metrics together, so both the sales price and the list price, can be interesting as it can give you a general sense and idea of whether homes are typically selling at their list price or if perhaps they're typically going for above or below it. And well, as you can see, as of right now anyhow, for the most part, homes are typically selling right around or even maybe just a little bit below, in some cases, their list price. So if you're a hopeful home buyer, this should strike you as somewhat good news. As well, it indicates that we aren't seeing as many multi-offer, i.e. bidding wars, which for many buyers can be quite stressful. And then on the other hand, if you're a seller hoping to see a bidding war that ultimately skyrockets the price, well, we really aren't seeing many of those in our current market. Now, that's not to say that there aren't any outlying crazy transactions at all. Of course there are, and well, there always will be because it's a market just like any other market. But in general, our current market is significantly more balanced than it was, say, back in late 2020 or 2021, which really having a more, well, quote unquote, balanced market typically provides both buyers and sellers some added peace of mind, as it's just not typically quite as stressful of a process. Okay, so now, and I'll cover this one real fast because it's been all over the news and likely on your mind. If you have heard the buzz about the recent National Association of Realtors settlement and how it's changing up how commissions are negotiated, as well as how hopeful buyers work with their buyer's agents, or maybe you're considering selling and you're just curious about what the new process is going to look like. Basically, you just want to know the gist of these changes brought on by this settlement, which just kicked into place mid-August. Well, great question, and one that I tackled just a few weeks ago in another video. In an effort to keep this video from just being overwhelming and far too long, I will post a link to it in the description of this video for you to check out. Okay, so now let's dive into all the hoopla regarding whether or not we are headed for a housing crash. We get calls every single day from people who are thinking about relocating to the area, and we occasionally hear, especially it seems from our hopeful first-time homebuyers, that they're actually hoping for a housing market crash, thinking that a crash could and would cause home prices to come down, which would therefore mean they'd be able to afford a better, bigger, and albeit fancier house. Now, it's not that I think people who are in this group want bad things to happen to anyone. It's not like that at all. It's really not like they're thinking this out of malice or ill will. But well, if you remember what happened back in 2008, and not just to housing prices, but to everything, you might think twice about this wish. Because if this happens, the economy could and would be worse off than even the crash itself. And well, I think we can all agree that that is the last thing our current economy needs. And let me just say, I completely understand the feeling that home prices are too high. And we are hearing that from people at all different price points. And goodness, yes, we have definitely seen homes here in our local market sell for pretty crazy high prices. Back during the COVID market, when bidding wars were common, I had several home sellers, so those whose pocketbooks were benefiting, turn to me and say, "But Marcy, my house isn't worth that." And then add to it that for the past year or so, interest rates have been higher than they've been in a really really long time. So yeah, this has effectively made homes even harder for many to afford. And many believe that the only way home prices will come down is if we have a full-on housing market crash. But well, there are really only a few ways a crash of that sort could happen. But before we get into that, let's be sure we understand what a crash actually means. Essentially, a crash would occur if we saw a rapid decrease in housing prices over a very short period of time. And this could be at the national level, but more than likely would happen at the localized, area-specific level. And then it could also happen in different locations, in different cities, and at different times. But most still remember 2008 and picture a crash as being at the national level. So with every state, county, and city being impacted. And well, we could see a crash if we have a big economic downturn or a recession, meaning that a lot of people would lose their jobs. And well, guess what? Unless you are in a position to pay all cash without a job, well, you can't buy a house, right? So yeah, that would not be good and would, well, really make the whole I'm gonna wait to buy a house until the housing crash happens plan not really work out so well, right?
Darn.
And then, well, in the case of an economic downturn to this degree, so to the degree that it is merited as being a full-on crash, what would happen to consumer confidence and economic growth? Yep, they would both go down, right? And this would mean we'd see a lot of layoffs for people with jobs in construction, lending, hospitality, and really just about anything having to do with spending that is not an essential need or a necessity. And because of this, many businesses would begin to suffer, and some would likely even be forced to shut down altogether. And well, those companies that manufacture just about anything that has to do with homes, so I'm talking about building materials, appliances, or furniture, well, those companies would all slow down and could possibly see huge layoffs too. Here in Idaho, back in 2008, we experienced this in a very big way because so much of our employment base at that time was in construction and hospitality. Thankfully, here in Idaho, especially here in Boise's Treasure Valley, our whole job landscape has really changed quite a bit over the past decade, with new businesses and industries coming into Idaho because of our, well, quote-unquote, friendlier business practices and whatnot. But, well, that doesn't negate the fact that while a crash could bring home prices down, well, it could also decrease the number of people who could qualify to buy a home, and would also at the same time put a lot of pressure on people who have lost their jobs. I certainly remember 2008, and the number of people who lost their jobs and defaulted on their mortgages shot up like a rocket after their adjustable rate mortgage adjusted, and then they ultimately couldn't sustain it and ultimately had to watch as their homes went back to the bank and fell into foreclosure. It was a very sad time. Speaking of which, we could also see a crash happen due to, and this is what we saw back in 2008, a mortgage crisis. In a nutshell, back in 2008, banks gave out too many risky loans to people who couldn't afford them, and those loans were bundled into very complicated investments that were sold worldwide. And then when people started defaulting on their loans, the value of those investments, well, collapsed, which ultimately led to bank failures and the severe economic downturn that we saw. Now, theoretically, we could also see home prices plummet if we were to suddenly have an oversupply of inventory, i.e. a mass number of homes all hit the market all at the same time, surpassing demand. But well, here's the thing about this one. It would most likely be very, very location specific, and most likely would not be happening all across the US at the same time. But it's important for us to look nationwide and then really narrow down, right? As of today, according to Redfin, we have 1.8 million homes listed on the market across the nation. To put that in perspective, just 5 years ago, there were 2.3 million homes listed. So that means that right now we have 500,000 fewer homes to sell. So right now across the nation, our inventory is still low. And now if you're thinking, but wait, Marcy, earlier in this video, you said the inventory is up year over year all across the Treasure Valley, and kudos to you for remembering that. But at the national level, inventory remains historically low. What's more, here in our local market, how's the buyer demand we're seeing going? Sales are way up, right? So the chances of a housing crash brought on by a huge influx of inventory here in the valley is currently pretty darn unlikely. And then we could also see a crash brought on by high interest rates. And well, please keep in mind that historically speaking, the interest rates we're seeing today are not the highest interest rates we've ever seen. Because yeah, they are certainly not in the 18% range like what they saw back in the early 1980s. However, yes, the rates that we have seen over the past year and a half are significantly higher than what we saw throughout the COVID market. There's no denying that. And then in turn, at the national level, those higher rates have decreased buyer demand overall, and in some places pretty darn significantly. But well, that's really not what we are seeing here at our local level in Boise's market, or certainly not to the degree that many originally anticipated when we found out that rates were going to be going up. So now maybe you're thinking, but wait, Marcy, is it a good time to buy or not? Like, what the heck am I supposed to do with all this information you've just thrown at me? And well, my friend, the answer to that is going to come down to really one unique thing. You ready for it?
Yeah, I am. I think I am.
Ultimately, it comes down to your unique situation. Everyone's situation is different, and as such, so is the timing and approach that we will take and that will be best for you. Is it a good time for you to buy? Perhaps. Or should you wait another year or so and then reconsider? Perhaps. To get your answer to this question, we gotta start right where you're at right now and just go from there. So if and when you're ready to connect, jot down our number so you have it ready and we can connect when you're ready to take that next step. My very low pressure but also proven and highly professional team are here and ready to help. And then if after our discussion you're looking to be connected with one, two, or several proven and just all around awesome local lenders, so these are lenders we have had clients work with in the past and that we have seen firsthand work wonders, we'll get you connected with them so that they can help you get your head fully wrapped around everything you need to know so that ultimately you can feel confident about moving forward. If you found this video helpful and haven't done so already, please take a quick second to hit those little like and subscribe buttons. Seeing them both tick up certainly does help to encourage us to continue filming our weekly videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.